95% of business owners that tried AI to this point found zero value in it. But here's the thing. AI wasn't the problem. The problem was you.
Uh-oh.
You're listening to the AI Convergence Podcast, presented by Vox AI, where AI, business, and mindset converge.
Welcome to the AI Convergence Podcast, where AI, mindset, and business converge. My name is Matt Aponte.
I'm Michael DeVoe.
And today we're getting into something that's going to challenge some of you. And, well, that's the point. So let's get into it.
I love a good challenge.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Iron sharpens iron, right? All right. So MIT published a study in July 2025 that became the most cited data point in the AI, like I said, the AI disillusionment conversation.
That's hard to say.
Yeah.
The disillusionment conversation.
I got it right the first time, though.
That was beautiful.
Thank goodness. Well done. Yeah. And that stat was that 95% of businesses that tried AI said that they got no use out of it. Yeah.
Or like they quit right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And also Upwork was right there with them. In November 2025, they did a study and they found that AI agents from OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic failed to complete many straightforward workplace tasks by themselves.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I could too, because, you know, I think the early implementations of agents that OpenAI launched was kind of like, you know, hey, what's in my email?
Well, it's 2025.
So,
I mean,
10 minutes later.
We just had a year under our belt of knowing that it was available, let alone starting to use it, let alone having valuable use scenarios, right? Use case scenarios, and understanding of prompting.
Yeah.
So it's like going back to school. You've only had one semester.
Yeah.
In AI.
Yeah. Well, and also too, to be fair, OpenAI and these agents that they're rolling out, you know, you connect it, you know, through whatever your Google OAuth, you sign or whatever. Well, they really have to cover their ass. So there's so many things. It's very slow and it didn't really make sense because there's so many security gates that the AI had to, you know, I'm going to click here. Is that okay? Yes, et cetera, right? So it was very early stages. But what I really think, actually, what I know that a lot of these studies are alluding to, or these reports rather, was businesses throwing AI automations or workflows in their business saying, hey, we're going to spend $2 million replacing this whole department, right? And it didn't work. And, you know, it's that's why we said in the beginning, it wasn't AI, it was you, it was the business owner, it was the company.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that. But there's another MIT technology review. They had a year-end piece last year, and it was called The Great AI Hype Correction of 2025. I like how they said the correction. Right?
Yes.
So they're saying that AI leaders made promises that they couldn't keep. Yeah.
I don't know that I would agree with that, though. I think we just wanted it too fast, too soon. You know, we wanted those training wheels off, and we just weren't ready for it yet.
Yeah, I think that's really true, right? Like people, I don't know how many times I've had people ask me, like, "Can I have it, you know, manage my bank account?" And I'm like, "Are you insane?" You know, it's like, you know, AI hallucinates even to this day.
Would you let my 14-year-old drive your Mercedes?
Yeah, no.
Okay,
you know, or give your 14-year-old your credit card.
Yeah,
you know. I don't want it hallucinating saying, hey, send $20 to Michael for dinner last night. It said, I sent $2,000 to Michael. You know,
you're very generous.
No, we don't want that. So yeah, they are wanting it too soon. You know, but Sam Altman did predict in January 2025 that agents would join the workforce and materially change the output of the companies. And then so Upwork was kind of, you know, this is why they're bashing the leaders. They're like, well, that didn't happen. But 2026 is a completely different year. But I think it's still worth talking about the fail is that, you know, there was $380 billion on AI infrastructure that was spent, companies spent collectively. And 95% of businesses say that they got nothing from it. but that's not a technology problem. That's a strategy problem.
So does this mean that with AI it's just overhyped, or does that mean that we should stop investing in it, or we should do what?
So what that means is that, and I have this conversation, if not daily, weekly, with business owners that ask, is that they want to put AI into everything, or they want to apply it into a part of their business that doesn't really make sense right now.
Are they expecting plug and play?
Well, I think
we've taught the industry to expect that a product is plug and play. They want it that easy.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Another thing is that they think that it can do so much more that it can't.
Yeah.
And so they say, oh my gosh, well, we have all the SOPs for this particular department, and we're just going to have AI learn all of it, and we're going to replace it and create, intelligent workworkflows. Then when they get into it, they realize it's a lot harder than that. It's not, AI can't do everything. It can do some things very, very well, but it can't do everything.
But you just said intelligent workflows, which suggests that they had them to begin with.
Touche.
I'm just saying.
That's a good one.
Well, one of the things I think the act of putting it into play forces your company to do is to look at those workflows.
Yep.
And if you haven't been actually looking at them and you've been trusting other humans to build them, run them, and manage them for you without any instruction, any teaching, any guidance, all of a sudden you have a tool where you have to provide all of that and you have no script.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
well, it was like a quote that I saw just the other day. I think it was on social media somewhere. And it said, AI doesn't perfect your business, it enhances your flaws, right? So like if you—
That's just what I need.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because you're like, hey, this is what we have,
Yeah.
automate that. It's like, okay, great.
Yeah.
But so if you have, it's kind of like trying to scale a business that isn't profitable. It doesn't matter how much more money you're making, you're still not profitable, right? So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that it was a strategy fail. These businesses were trying to rush to that. And were expecting too much of it. They were also not implementing it in the boring areas that actually could create the highest return on investment. They were trying to implement it into other areas where it just wasn't ready to be.
I mean, they're scaling inefficiencies. And anytime you're going to bring on board a new technology to a company, you have to examine those inefficiencies and ensure that you've got parameters, you've got guidelines, you've got all those things in place. And the training and the onboarding required. And I think they just assumed it was going to be easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool and fun and all that, but it's not necessarily easy.
Yeah. Well, it's like the .com bubble.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't mean the internet was fake. It just meant that most people didn't know what the heck they were doing with it yet. And something is happening right now, the same thing with AI. I think that people just don't really understand it, that the hype is happening and the bubble comes from the hype,
It's hype.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, and we know what hype is. It's just hot air. I mean, and there's going to be some around all of these new technologies. Everyone's going to get excited about something. You're going to have the people that rush to the front of the line. You're going to have people that hold back and don't do anything. You're going to have the paranoid individuals. And then you're going to have those of us who get in there, get under the hood, start tinkering with it and taking it apart to see what else is possible with it.
Yep.
And I think if you're smart about it, and I don't mean you're not, but I think getting under and tinkering is one of the best things you can do before you implement.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And, something that I always share with people in my AI training classes, et cetera, is that whenever you're using AI, you have to, you got to meet it where it's at. You have to understand its, what it's good at, what it's not good at. And you can't currently, and remember, this is as bad as it's always going to be. It'll always get better, but we can't currently just tell it what to do and it just go and do it. There was a huge, we talked about, was it last week? With the claw bots.
Yes.
People just releasing it on their computers and cause havoc.
Like the monkeys from the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
They took off, man.
Yeah, they did, right?
Wreaking havoc.
Swarming, yeah. So one more, I want to add a stat here that came back, is the PwC's analysis found that technology delivers only about 20% of an AI initiative's value. The other 80% comes from redesigning work.
You said meet AI where it's at. This says you need the AI to meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
You need to know where you are.
Yeah.
In your progress, in your education, in your understanding, in your knowledge, in your experience, right? And we're coming to the table completely ignorant people. We don't know AI. We didn't know it a couple years ago. So to think that we could just jump in and start driving this fast-moving car like a Ferrari when you've been driving a Toyota is very different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, to be fair, the dot-com bubble, the comparison there is instructive, right? You know, think to yourself when you're listening, what can you take from that? And really, it's that the bubble burst, but it left behind the internet, Google, Amazon, etc. And so the companies that failed weren't building the wrong thing. The companies that failed were just building it the wrong way.
Okay, so that's like the technical angle, right? Which is the difference between companies that deployed AI as a point solution for a specific problem they wanted to solve versus companies that simply plugged in and bought a chatbot and called that subscription AI transformation in their business. The tool isn't the strategy, the implementation of it is.
Yes, okay. Yes. And there's another little kind of shadowy side to all of this AI, doesn't work kind of thing, or AI taking your job. Is that a lot of businesses, large businesses, were hiding just company loss and layoff as AI restructuring. Oh. So they were saying, there was a study, I forget what it was, I don't have it here, but that showed that most businesses that said, oh, we're having to lay off 1,000 people due to AI had nothing to do with AI. It had to do with business.
More hype. That's more hype.
Or businesses that they wanted to look good on the balance sheet for their investors.
Right.
So it looks better to say, oh, we're restructuring due to AI rather than we had to fire 1,000 employees because we didn't know what the hell we're doing. Really, kind of a thing.
Well, with that in mind, should we care?
Should we care? Dum, dum, dum.
It's the question we ask every time.
Should you care?
Should you care?
Yeah.
We care. We're here.
Yeah. Well, should we?
Yes, but not as a reason to be afraid of AI or to avoid it. This is actually the best news that small business owners could possibly hear, and here's why.
Well, 95%, that stat we shared in the beginning, that means that your competition is probably failing at AI right now. So that opens up opportunity for you.
I'm not the only one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, you're not the only one, but if you feel like you're late to the punch, well, the people that jumped on it without any real strategy, they're like, oh, well, this doesn't work. And they throw it. And you're like, wait a second, I'm going to do this right. So then you can leapfrog ahead. So it actually creates an advantage if you get it right. Right. So that's an enormous way to look at it.
The crumbs of their failure will become the meals of my success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yum, 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 yum. And the hype cycle is cooling off, right?
Yes. So in investment too, they're pulling back. We talked about it last week where the numbers are pulling back. And I saw a report, this new out of India with AI, where the investments are now being tempered in reasonable amounts of money, not just throwing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions. It's now 1.3 billion for this. And it's very specific.
Yeah. Yep. And that's a really good thing, because also on social media, and I also share this all the time with people I'm talking with, is that beware of what you take as fact from social media or a YouTube or an ad.
We're still having that conversation.
All the time. Is because it's hype. So if you're watching it online, someone's probably trying to sell you something. They're either selling you an eyeball or, views, they're selling click, they're trying to gather your information for a free, never before offered download. Or if they're on YouTube, they're just trying to put, this hype, thumbnails and like, can you believe Sam Altman did this? Never before seen. And you're like, what was that? And you click and play. And well, now you're adding to their boost in viewing and interaction. They get paid by sponsorship and YouTube, views. So, just you gotta realize that most people out there are selling something, which means you need to think twice about what you're digesting.
I mean, if you're grabbed immediately because of the hook and not because of the content, You got to ask yourself why.
Yeah. And so because of this whole cool off, a lot more content, I think, is cooling off too a little bit. But that means that the tools are getting more practical, right? Instead of saying it does everything, I built an agent on Replit in 30 minutes and made $2 million and it runs my life. Example of clickbait, right?
Yeah.
Well, the more practical thing is that more tools are becoming more affordable. They're becoming more focused on what's actually solving problems instead of impressing investors, right? And, I've, again, being, that I run an AI agency, being in the front of the line most of the time, conversing with these clients, even prior to them coming on board, that question I have a lot with them, like, well, I'd like it to do that. I'd like it to do that. And I'm like, wait a second. What really is going to put more money into your pocket and more time back into your life are the boring things that you're not talking about right now.
Yeah. So the businesses that are winning with AI are not the ones with the biggest budgets. They're the ones who are actually have the clearest problems that they want to solve, right? And they have the most disciplined approach.
Yep, exactly. So
and that's boring, but successful.
Yep. And your competitor just spent $50,000 on AI implementation and got nothing. And now you can spend a fraction of that, do it right, and eat their lunch.
You're welcome.
All right. So now for our mid-roll sponsor spot. So the AI Convergence podcast is brought to you by, well, us. Yay. And if you're listening to this episode and thinking, okay, I don't want to be part of that 95%, but I don't know where to start, I feel you. And we've built something for you. So our free AI readiness assessment takes 5 minutes and it tells you exactly where your business stands with AI right now. No hype, no sales pitch, just a very clear, honest snapshot of what's working, what's missing, and where the biggest opportunities are for your specific business. Because really the difference, between the 95% who got nothing and the 5% who are winning, well, it really starts with knowing where you actually are, because you can't get to where you want to go unless you know where you're at.
That is very true.
Yeah. So click the link in the bio to learn more.
This isn't hype. It's real. Okay. The deep dive, why most businesses fail at AI and the mindset shift that you have to be careful to saying that because it could sound very different. The mindset shift that fixes it.
Yeah. So again, okay, we know the data, or at least what's being reported to us as data. 95% found zero value. The question is why? And when we really look at the patterns from the MIT study, the PwC's analysis, from what we've seen firsthand working with businesses, is that it always comes back to a handful of mistakes. And every single, one of them is really, it's a mindset problem, not a technology problem.
Let's talk about it then. Mistake number 1, the magic button mindset.
Yeah.
The most common failure, businesses and owners expect AI to magically fix everything without changing anything about how they operate.
Yep. And we touched on this just, earlier.
We did.
They sign up for ChatGPT, they ask it a few questions, they get mediocre answers because they're horrible prompters or they don't know how to prompt. And they, garbage in, garbage out. And so they conclude that, well, AI doesn't work. Doesn't work for me.
Right. Or they buy a tool, they never set it up properly. They don't train their team to use it properly. And then they blame the tool when nothing changes.
This is a huge
it's a common
problem.
Human error, though.
Most of, I wish I had the number, but a ton of subscribers on SaaS platforms don't even use a SaaS platform. They buy into the landing page, sales page, the video hype, and the demos, and this is really good. I've been there too.
My used and thrown out tools of AI and technology bucket is so big. I'm like, woof, I went through a lot of bad moments with it, but that was me mostly. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, we all suffer from it. Especially if the marketing is done right, the sales pitch is done right. And it doesn't mean that the platform was faulty. It means that we didn't take it wasn't an easy button.
No.
We had to go in, we had to learn it, we had to implement, and we had to make it work for us. And most people don't do that.
The 4th time I paid for a subscription to a CRM that said it could do it all, it stuck. And I thought, oh, that's because it's such a great CRM. That was 4 years of failing at 3 other CRMs. And I realized, oh, I must have learned how to use it better.
Yeah.
So by the time I got there, I was actually happy with using it because I'd learned so much by failing.
Yeah.
So
The CRM didn't get better. You did.
I did.
AI is not a magic button. It's a power tool. And a power tool in the hands of someone who doesn't know what they're building is just an expensive way to make a mess.
Are you my dad?
Imagine using a Makita drill for blending.
Yes,
You're making a mess. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
My dad has said probably that exact thing to me about his expensive tools.
You're using the wrong thing for the wrong thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've literally seen this. Someone buys a tool, they use it twice, right? They say it doesn't work, and then they never actually set it up properly. They don't look at the manual. I don't read the instructions.
Yeah.
Because I think I know. You know, when you've done these things 100 times, or you think you've done them 100 times, and you're like, oh, I've got this. It's really kind of important with AI to have a good understanding of what you don't know about it before diving in.
Exactly. And so again, it's a mindset problem. And mistake number 2, no clear problem to solve. Well, a lot of people, and I've been there too, there's been times years past where I'll go through and I've seen an ad and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Oh, they have a lifetime special. I'm going to buy it. And I'll get to it later.
I have so many of those. Oh my gosh. They just sit there and I wait for the day when I'm going to use them.
Yeah. And never do.
Yeah.
It's a FOMO problem, right?
Okay.
Everyone's doing it. We need to do it too. That marketing material was awesome. They never really asked, what specific problem am I trying to solve? What does success look like? And how will I measure it? Right?
That's like starting a trip with no destination.
Yeah. Which some people do.
You can,
but
I don't think moseying around with AI is the way to do it.
No. The businesses that are getting value with a single specific pain point that they know exactly
targeted
how to target, right? And then they see this tool is exactly going to solve that. Like it's the Tylenol for my business.
One problem, one tool, one measurable outcome. That's a formula for strategy. That's a strategy.
Yeah. So for example, we're missing 40% of our after hours calls. Our follow-up time is killing our close rate, or I'm spending 3 hours a day on email. So those are problems that AI is very effective, or agents are very effective at filling the gaps right now.
Like 68% of admin work.
Yep, exactly.
Every week.
Yep. So if you can't finish the sentence, I'm implementing AI to solve blank, then you're not implementing AI. You're buying a subscription and hoping for the best.
Oh, that's a nice way of putting it. I like that. If you can ask yourself the question and you don't know the answer to that one, then you know you're not ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Mistake number 3, that's a kind of a funny
trying to boil the ocean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, they hear about AI and they immediately want to automate everything, right?
I do. I want to automate everything. I'm ready. I'm ready for automated cars, automated systems. I don't want to drive anymore. I'm ready for a lot of things. I'm like, come on, Robbie the robot. Let's get this done.
Well, no, that's called ready for retirement.
Oh.
Right?
Gray hair.
Well, they think that they want a full transformation overnight, right? And this just goes back to the point that we were talking on earlier, is that it's great in certain areas, but some areas it's just not there yet. Also, think about the modular result, right? It's like the 80-20 rule. So you should be focusing on the 20% that actually generates the 80% of revenue.
Right.
And then you start there working on that. And then you bolt something else on and you grow it and you continue. And that's the best way to implement that.
Yeah. And the winners, they start with the same pattern. They start small, prove value fast, and then scale. And any real true transformation is never overnight. It doesn't exist.
No. So focus on one workflow, one automation, get the results, and then move to the next one.
You don't renovate your entire house at once, do you? You fix the kitchen first because that's where you spend most of your time. The same with AI. You fix one thing that's eating out of the most of your hours first, and then you move on to the next.
Yep.
But you have to identify it too.
Exactly.
Yep.
So mistake number 4, no human in the loop.
What? Eventually.
Ish. Yeah. So I think businesses swung too far and they're like, AI is so awesome. It's going to be able to handle all of this.
Yep.
And so maybe some did fire more people than they needed to, because there was companies that we all heard hired people back, right? Like, wait a second.
Whoops.
Yeah.
That's a whoops.
And so you need a human in the loop. And that is a part of responsible AI implementation, right?
Yeah.
So, you always have to have a human in the loop, second pair of eyes.
And not just any human. I mean, you want to be targeted and specific about who you're bringing in to help you with implementing your AI into just like anything.
Yeah.
You're not going to hire somebody who doesn't know the tool.
Yep.
You really got to have a good understanding and ensure that they're there to help you with your strategy. And if anyone you bring in doesn't ask the first question, what is the problem you need solved and what is the strategy you want to implement to do so, they're not the right person.
Yeah. So human in the loop is a non-negotiable. Right. And the last one there?
Giving up too early.
Yep. Yeah.
I might have done that a couple times. I think I'd be guilty of that one.
Yeah, I think we all have.
Yeah.
But real quick, the 5% who are winning, they treated it like any other business process. They launch, measure, adjust, improve, repeat. So, it's not perfect. It's not going to wake up and serve you your your breakfast and coffee in bed and do everything for you, to where you don't have to do anything like what Michael wants. You gotta get it there, right? We're getting there. You don't close your first sales call perfectly. You didn't run your first ad campaign perfectly. So why would you expect your first AI implementation to be perfect? Give it the same patience that you give everything else that eventually worked.
I'm like, that's because of the hype. If they believed the hype, they believed it was possible to get there fast without doing anything.
Yeah. You know what I think we're really uncovering here is how good some of this marketing is.
Oh, yeah.
And how much we fall victim to it.
Oh, I got captured 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I was playing around in what I thought was a sandbox. I remembered the entire time that there were training wheels on this thing, and that the reason why it was free is because they were using me to train their models. And that language was very clear to me. I don't know if other people didn't hear it. I understood the entire time I was a test case for ensuring that they got good results. So I wanted to make sure I was using it in many different ways, asking it every single question that I could and trying different prompts all the time, but not really expecting perfection.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see what it would know.
Exactly.
Yep.
So let's go through a real quick framework.
Yep.
That, if you take nothing else from this episode, please take this. We're going to keep this real clear and concise.
1, start with the problem, not the tool. What specific pain costs you the most time and money? What specific pain costs you the most time and money?
Yep. And number 2, pick one thing. Don't try to transform your whole business. Just fix one workflow.
3, measure the outcome before you start. Define what success looks like and then track it. Remember, you have to define the destination if you're ever going to get there.
Yep. Iterate. The first version won't be perfect. That first cake that you baked was, horrible. You had to keep trying.
Really cake.
It's right? You need to adjust, improve, and not abandon.
Yeah. Then scale, right? So once it's working, then move on to the next problem and repeat the cycle.
Yep. So it's not revolutionary advice, but it's good to be reminded of these simple things.
Are you talking foundational
Yeah.
here?
I mean, you could literally apply this to marriage or relationships, right?
Business.
Business, anything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sports. I mean,
this is true.
Exactly. All right. So we're gonna wrap things up and close them out here. So basically the 95% statistic is not evidence. If you have taken that and used that as an excuse to be like, wow, see, that $20 billion company use it and they don't like it. I'm not implying anything by using my accent there. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It just means that they rushed too fast. They had too much money to throw away and they didn't do it right. Without a clear problem, without pain, without the patience to iterate, if you bring discipline to AI will reward you. It's that simple.
And I'm guilty of mistake number 1, which is I've expected tools to actually solve the problem without putting the work or the study or the time in to learn how to use it correctly. And this could be a major, major mistake for you and your company if you're not taking the time to understand the tool. So that's a big wake-up call for me personally too.
Yeah. And, think about this. Like, do you want to solve the $200 a month pain point solution? Or do you want to work on the $5,000 a month pain point solution with a platform that tries to do everything and delivers nothing, right? So, start small. The tool doesn't matter if the approach is wrong, essentially.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
The tool doesn't matter if the approach is wrong.
Yeah. It's like those people that think everything, they have a big sledgehammer, everything, one tool. Yeah. I don't remember what the saying is.
I do. I remember that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
yep.
Okay. So if you're sitting there right now thinking, I don't want to be part of the 95%, I was right all the time. Well, go grab our free AI readiness assessment. The link is in the show notes. It takes 5 minutes, and it's going to give you clarity on exactly where to start. And if the episode hits home, please share it with someone that you think will benefit from it. And next week, we're going to be closing out with something, we're going to be continuing on, rather, with something different. The shift from AI hype to AI pragmatism.
Ew, that's not a pretty word.
No.
Pragmatism. Who wants that?
Yep. And how to use brainwave science to actually focus long enough to get the work done. And they do have something to do with each other. See you next Tuesday.
Bye, guys.